Miss Meng, here's 10 million. Leave my son. Mrs. He pushed a bank card across the table toward me. I barely managed to hold back a laugh. 10 million. Just as you'd expect from the mother of Beijing's top trust fund baby. She sure doesn't hold back. I pretended to be calm, picked up my teacup, and took a sip, only to be scalded so badly I nearly spat it out. Mrs. He frowned in disgust and handed me a napkin. Thanks, ma'am, I said, wiping my mouth. But is your son really only worth 10 million? In all the TV dramas I've seen, the starting offer is at least 20 million. The look on Mrs. He's face was like she'd just swallowed a fly. What did you just say? I put down my teacup and put on my best professional fake smile. He Linchuan is the top heir in Beijing, right? His net worth must be in the billions. Don't you think 10 million is a little stingy? The colors on Mrs. He's face changed like a traffic light. Meng Wanqing. Don't push your luck. Ma'am, please, calm down. I quickly poured her a cup of tea. How about this, 15 million, and I promise to disappear without a trace. Mrs. He was so angry her hands were trembling. She pulled a checkbook out of her Hermes bag, scribbled a few lines, and slammed the check down on the table. 12 million. Not a penny more. Deal. In a flash, I snatched the bank card and check off the table and stuffed them into my purse. Don't you worry, ma'am. I'll be out of Beijing by tonight, and I'll never show my face to your son again for the rest of my life. Mrs. He pressed a hand to her forehead. She looked like she regretted ever giving birth to He Linchuan. You're not even going to ask about his fiancée? Huh? He has a fiancée? I blinked. Well, you should have paid me sooner. That's withholding crucial information. Technically, that should cost you extra. Get out. Mrs. He finally dropped her high society composure. And I got out. The first thing I did after leaving the tea house was go to the bank to verify the check. What if it was a dud? Once I confirmed the money was in my account, I immediately texted my landlord, "Your girl's rich now. Keep the security deposit." Back home, I started packing my things, humming a little tune. There wasn't much to pack, really. Anything valuable was a gift from He Linchuan, and I wasn't planning on taking a single thing. If you're going to make a clean break, you make it clean. What's got you so happy? Win the lottery? My roommate asked, poking her head in. Better than the lottery, I said, stuffing clothes into my suitcase. He Linchuan's mom gave me $12 million to get lost. The potato chip in my roommate's hand fell to the floor. How much? 12 million. She only offered 10 at first, but I haggled her up another 2 million. Pretty good, right? Meng Wanqing. My roommate looked completely stunned. You are the most shameless woman I have ever met. I'm in awe. Oh, you flatter me. I clasped my hands together in a mock bow. Once I get settled, I'll treat you to dinner. You can pick any place you want. Just as I said that, the doorbell rang. I figured it was a delivery. But when I opened the door, there was He Linchuan, standing there in a sharp suit and holding a bouquet of roses. I got off work early to see you. Surprise. I froze in the doorway, my mind racing. My suitcase was open on the bed, and my computer screen was still on a web page for luxury rentals in Sanya. Not going to let me in? He Linchuan raised an eyebrow. Oh, come in. I stepped aside to let him pass. He Linchuan's gaze fell on my half-packed suitcase. Where are you going? A business trip. It was a last-minute thing. To Guangzhou. Guangzhou? He frowned. How come you never mentioned it? Well, it came up suddenly. I gave a hollow laugh and quickly changed the subject. Are the flowers for me? They're beautiful. He Linchuan handed me the flowers and pulled me into his arms. I missed you. His warm breath ghosted across my neck. My whole body went stiff. My $12 million ex-boyfriend was kissing my neck. You seem a little distracted today, He Linchuan said, letting me go and looking at me with suspicion. Do I? Haha. I laughed nervously. I'm probably just tired. He Linchuan let go of me and walked over to my desk. My heart leaped into my throat. The deposit slip from the check was sitting right there on the desk. I rushed over to hide it, but it was too late. He picked up the piece of paper, and his expression changed instantly. 2 million? Who gave you this? My mind raced. My year-end bonus. Your company pays its year-end bonuses by check? He Lynchwan scoffed. And you've only been working there for 3 months. I was a top performer? He Lynchwan glanced at the signature on the slip. My mother. His voice turned to ice. When did she find you? This afternoon. He Lynchwan looked devastated. You're leaving me for 2 million? Relax, you're not that cheap. It was 12 million. I knew I couldn't hide it anymore, so I decided to just lay it all out. Your mom is actually pretty nice. She even treated me to tea. A little cheap, though. At first, she would only give me 10 million. I had to work hard to talk her up to 12. He Lynchwan looked like he'd been struck by lightning. And you just took it? What else was I supposed to do? I looked at him like it was the most obvious thing in the world. It's $12 million. I thought you loved me, he practically shouted. I love money more than I love you, I said honestly. From our very first date, when you took me to that Japanese place that costs $3,000 a head, I thought, a guy who spends money like this must come from a family with a gold mine. He Lynchwan looked like he was about to suffocate. So this whole past 6 months, you've just been acting? I scratched my head. Well, not entirely. You're a nice guy, you're handsome, and you're good in bed. Mang. Wan. Ching. Hey, don't be so mad. I patted his shoulder. How about this, after I invest this and make some more money, I'll treat you to dinner. He Lynchwan ripped the slip to shreds. The money's gone. Are you still leaving? I sighed, pulled my phone out of my purse, and showed him the bank confirmation text. Sweetheart, you only ripped up the receipt. The look on his face was priceless. I had to stop myself from taking a picture. Let's break up, I said, patting his cheek. I wish you and your fiancée happiness. By the way, does she know you've been keeping a little mistress on the side? Want me to keep it a secret for you? For you, a friendly price, 2 million. He Lynchwan slammed the door on his way out. I picked up the shredded pieces of paper from the floor and let out a whistle. My roommate poked her head out of her room. Is the fight over? Uh-huh. I tossed the scraps into the trash can. I'm outta here tonight. You're really not sad at all? My roommate asked in disbelief. Sad about what? I said, counting the zeros in my mobile banking app. I'm a multimillionaire now. Being sad would be disrespectful to the money. Boss, let me give you a massage. My new assistant, Lynn, knelt on one knee beside my beach lounger, his long fingers tracing circles on my back. The sun, the waves, a handsome guy with an 8-pack, now this was a life fit for a newly minted rich woman. A little to the left, yes, right there, I directed, my eyes half closed. Harder. Your technique isn't as good as he Lynchwan's. I mean, it's not professional enough. Lynn immediately applied more pressure. I took a satisfied sip of my coconut juice. My phone pinged. A text from the bank, a deposit of 3 million yuan has been made to your account. Current balance. TSK, the returns on my investments just came in, I said, stretching lazily. Let's have dinner at the underwater restaurant tonight. Lynn nodded obediently. Of course, boss. Should I book you a hairstylist? Book one. The most expensive one, I said with a wave of my hand. Oh, and you're coming to the yacht party tonight. Wear that Dior outfit I bought you yesterday. Lynn's eyes lit up, and he planted a big smooch on my cheek. See? That's the power of money. 12 million not only bought my freedom, but it also bought me a cute young thing. At 7 p.m., wearing a gown that could buy a car, I boarded the yacht on Lynn's arm. The host was a real estate tycoon who'd sent me a special invitation after hearing I'd walked away with the He family's breakup fee. Miss Mang, Mr. Wang greeted me enthusiastically. I've heard so much about you. Word is you got the better of Mrs. He? Impressive. I waved my hand modestly. Oh, it was nothing. Her offer was just too generous to refuse. Just as we were exchanging pleasantries, a commotion broke out. I turned to look, nearly spilling my champagne. He Lin Chuan was standing there, impeccably dressed in a suit, with a girl in a white dress on his arm. The diamond necklace on her chest was so bright it hurt my eyes. I instinctively tried to hide behind Lin, but it was too late. He Lin Chuan's gaze was already locked on me, and on my hand clutching Lin's arm. Meng Wanqing? He strode over, his voice laced with disbelief. What are you doing here? I let out a dry laugh. What a coincidence, Mr. He. And this is? My fiancé, Lin Yen, He Lin Chuan said through gritted teeth. His eyes darted between Lin and me. And this is? My boyfriend, Lin, I said, leaning against him. He's a model. Won the Mr. Asia pageant. Lin played along, flashing a professional smile, his 8-pack faintly visible under his shirt. He Lin Chuan's fiancé couldn't help but sneak a couple of extra glances, which I keenly noticed. Oh, my. It seems Miss Lin has a thing for muscular guys. Lin, show Miss Lin your award-winning photos. Lin obediently pulled out his phone. The photo album was full of his runway shots, wearing nothing but briefs. Lin Yan's eyes went wide. He Lin Chuan's face was as black as a skillet. Nouveau riche, He Lin Chuan sneered in my ear. Couldn't wait to take my mom's money and start keeping a boy toy, could you? Mama's boy, I shot back. Can't even say a word when your fiancé is ogling another man right in front of you. We glared at each other, the tension thick between us. The other guests, sensing drama, quietly formed a circle to watch the show. Mr. Wang appeared at just the right moment to play peacemaker. The champagne tower is ready. Shall we move to the deck, everyone? By the champagne tower, I made a point of flaunting my affection for Lin. I fed him fruit, wiped the corner of his mouth, enough PDA to make the whole boat sick. He Lin Chuan wore a stony expression the entire time. His fiancée kept stealing glances at Lin. I walked over, raising my glass. Mr. He, a toast to you. Thanks to you and your family for the generous donation. He Lin Chuan sneered. Burned through the money already? Out on the prowl for your next sugar daddy so soon? Not at all, I said, pulling out my phone to show him my bank balance. I've already made 3 million in interest. By the way, your fiancé seems quite taken with my Lin. Should I give her his number? He Lin Chuan snatched my phone. I leaned close to his ear. Your fiancé just took a picture of Lin's abs. Want me to send it to you? Meng Wan Qing. He Lin Chuan was so furious his hands were shaking. He nearly threw my phone into the sea. The party ended on a sour note. The next day, my real estate agent called. Miss Meng, that oceanfront villa you were interested in? Someone just bought it. Paid in full. Who bought it? I had a bad feeling. A Mr. He. I was so mad I threw a pillow across the room. You and your petty games, He Lin Chuan. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. He, and her expression was even uglier than the last time we'd met. She got straight to the point. Miss Meng, here's another 10 million. Leave Sonia. Now. I blinked. Auntie, is your son really worth so little? Last time it was 12 million. With inflation, the price has gone up. 20 million. 30 million, I said, holding up 3 fingers. And I promise I'll leave not just Sonia, but all of Hainan Island. I'll go abroad. Mrs. He took a deep breath and pulled a checkbook from her purse. After signing the check, she suddenly asked, Do you have any sisters? Huh? I was completely baffled. I have a nephew, Mrs. He said, vexed. He's also gotten himself mixed up with some Cinderella type. My eyes lit up. Auntie, you should have said so sooner. I can offer a package deal on my breakup services. How about this, 50 million for the 2 of them, and I'll even throw in free relationship counseling. Mrs. He rolled her eyes and turned to leave. I delightedly clutched my new check and sent a text to Lin, pack your bags. We're flying to the Maldives tomorrow. As for He Lin Chuan? Who's that? Ms. Meng, the Prince of Dubai sent an invitation. He's asking if you're free for his private party next week, Xiao Lin reported while painting my toenails. I took a sip of my cocktail. Turn him down. Tell him I'm going to Morocco to buy a castle. I don't have time. Yes, Ms. Meng. Xiaolin nodded obediently. By the way, that boba tea chain you invested in? Its net profit broke 10 million this month. I nodded, satisfied. Ever since I turned He Linchuan's drunken voice message into the order notification for my ex-boyfriend tea chain, business has been blowing up. TikTok is flooded with videos from the stores. Hashtag drink this $10 million breakup tea and get rich too hashtag. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered it casually. Hello? It's me. He Linchuan's deep voice came through the phone. The background was noisy, it sounded like he was at a bar. I rolled my eyes. President He, shouldn't you be with your fiancé in the middle of the night? Why are you calling your ex-girlfriend? His voice was thick with booze. I called off the engagement. Are you happy now? What's it to me? I took a loud, crunchy bite of an apple. What, did your fiancé find out you were calling your ex in the middle of the night? Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Meng Wanqing, was it really only ever about the money for you? What else? I burst out laughing. Don't tell me you thought I'd be pining for you, President He? Sorry to disappoint, but these days I wake up in a 9-foot-wide bed with a handsome guy with an 8-pack lying next to me, and my bank account balance is growing like the digits of pi. I'm in Dubai, he said suddenly. My foot twitched, smearing the nail polish. Well, what a coincidence. I'm heading to Dubai tomorrow, too. He Linchuan let out a soft chuckle. I know. Your boba shop opens tomorrow. I bought the storefront next door. You. I was so mad I hung up and immediately blocked his number. I turned to Xiaolin. Change my flight. We're flying to Dubai tonight. I want cameras installed all over that shop. If He Linchuan dares to cause a scene, I'm live-streaming the whole thing. The next day, at the Dubai Mall. The grand opening of the Dubai branch of ex-boyfriend T. I was on stage in a diamond-studded gown, ready to cut the ribbon. Thank you all for coming to our grand opening. I said into the microphone. Today, all drinks are buy one get one free. And if you can drink it in front of your ex without crying, you get free boba for life. Amid the applause, I saw He Linchuan striding through the crowd with 8 bodyguards in black suits. He was wearing a white suit today, looking so handsome he could have stepped out of a magazine. The only problem was his expression, which was as sour as milk left out in the summer heat. He stopped in front of me. Meng Wanqing. Long time no see. I pretended I had just noticed him. Oh, my. Isn't it President He? What brings you here? Did you come to be part of my paid audience? The crowd raised their phones, snapping pictures furiously. Hashtag Beijing Air spotted at Texas Boba Shop hashtag instantly shot to the top of the trending topics. He Linchuan glanced around my store. Business looks good. I'll give you 3 times what it's worth. Sell me this shop. Sorry, not for sale, I said with a sweet smile. But I can treat you to our signature drink. It's called Rich Boy Tears. The recipe came from your mother. A wave of laughter erupted from the onlookers. He Linchuan's bodyguards started to move forward, but he stopped them with a raised hand. He lowered his voice. Meng Wanqing, what will it take for you to stop? Stop? I clutched my chest dramatically. President He, what are you talking about? I'm a legitimate businesswoman. How about this? I raised my voice again. If President He admits, right here and now, that he's still hopelessly in love with me, I'll give him free boba for life. The crowd started jeering and whistling. The tips of He Linchuan's ears turned a visible shade of red. He gritted his teeth. In your dreams. Then please, be on your way, I said, gesturing for him to leave. Our Paris branch opens next month. Don't forget to come show your support, President He. He Linchuan turned on his heel and left, his 8 bodyguards nearly tripping over each other to follow. I watched with delight as the topic trended even higher. This free publicity was a total win. That night, back at the hotel, I had just sunk into the jacuzzi when the doorbell rang. Xiaolin went to get it and came running back in a panic. Ms. Meng, it's Mrs. He. I nearly slid under the water and drowned. I scrambled out, threw on a robe, and went out to the suite's living room. Mrs. He was standing there with 3 assistants, her expression even more strained than the last time we'd met. She got straight to the point. "Ms. Meng, let's make a deal." I raised an eyebrow. "Auntie, let's get this straight first. My price has gone up. The starting rate for a breakup fee is 50 million now." "This isn't about Lin Chuan," Mrs. He said, handing me a folder. "I want to hire you as an emotional consultant for the He Corporation, specifically to handle unnecessary relationships." I opened the folder. Inside was a contract for an 8-figure annual salary, complete with stock options. The job title read, He Corporation Chief Emotional Risk Officer. "Wow," I whistled. "Fighting fire with fire, are we, Auntie?" Mrs. He looked like she'd rather swallow nails than admit it. "You have a gift. The company loses a 9-figure sum every year due to various romantic entanglements. We need a professional like you." I smiled. "I have one more condition. I want to set He Lin Chuan's drunken voice message from that night as the company's official ringback tone." "Meng Wanqing." Mrs. He almost lost her composure. "Just kidding." I signed my name with a flourish. "A pleasure doing business with you, boss." After Mrs. He left, Xiaolin asked worriedly, "Ms. Meng, are you really going to work for the He family?" "Silly girl," I said, ruffling her hair. "This isn't working for them. This is infiltrating the enemy's headquarters. Just you wait. Next month, I'm opening an ex-boyfriend tea right inside the He Corporation building." Suddenly, a message from He Lin Chuan popped up on my phone. "You signed a contract with my mom?" I typed back, "Yep. From now on, you can call me President He's new stepmom." That is typing. Bubble appeared and stayed there for 5 minutes. Finally, a new message arrived, "Meng Wanqing, you just wait." I laughed and tossed my phone aside. Let him wait. Who's afraid of who? I was now taking the He family's money to piss off the He family's son while sleeping with the He family's, oh, right. Not that last one. "Director Meng, this is your office." The woman from HR pushed open the door. I was almost blinded. The entire room was pink. Pink wallpaper, pink carpet, a pink desk, even the computer was a bedazzled, rhinestone-covered pink. This is... My eye started to twitch. "Mrs. He has unique taste, doesn't she?" The woman whispered, "Mr. He arranged it himself. He said you liked this kind of flamboyant style." He Lin Chuan. I made a mental note. I looked up and saw the gold leaf plaque on the wall. He Group, Department of Emotional Risk Control. I almost laughed out loud. I'd barely settled into the pink swivel chair when Mrs. He called. "Meng Wanqing, your first assignment is here. My nephew, He Ziqian, is dating some influencer. I need you to take care of it. Consider it done." I hung up and turned to my assistant. "What's the story with He Ziqian?" "Mrs. He's nephew. He's 22, studies at Stanford. His girlfriend is an influencer with 10 million followers on some platform. Her brand is the sweet, innocent type." My assistant handed me the file. Mrs. He said the budget is 2 million. I opened the file and had to laugh. I knew this influencer. She'd taken a class at my sugar baby boot camp. I snapped my fingers. "Set up a meeting. This afternoon." At 3 o'clock, He Ziqian arrived at my office with his influencer girlfriend. The kid was handsome enough, but his eyes had that pristine kind of stupidity. You could tell at a glance he was a rich kid who'd never been knocked around by the real world. He Ziqian eyed me warily. "So you're the breakup expert my aunt told me about?" "Wrong. I'm an emotional risk control officer." I handed him my business card with a smile. "And you must be Miss Lin, right?" "A pleasure. I've seen your videos. That tutorial on how to accidentally run into a rich guy was pure genius." The color drained from Miss Lin's face. What are you talking about?" "Don't be nervous," I whispered, leaning close to her ear. "Sugar Baby Bootcamp, Premium Member Lin Xiaohua. Course ID 520. If I recall, your homework assignment was how to stage a run-in with a sugar daddy at an Hermes boutique, right?" Lin Xiaohua's knees went weak, and she nearly collapsed. He Ziqian was completely lost. You two know each other? We're practically old friends. I took Lin Xiaohua's hand warmly. Why don't you step outside for a moment, Mr. He? Miss Lin and I need to have a private chat. The second He Ziqian was out the door, Lin Xiaohua's face crumpled. Professor Meng. I had no idea he was the one you were supposed to break me up with. I'll end it right now. Silly girl, why would you break up with him? I patted her on the shoulder. He Ziqian is an only son. If you let him go, you're letting billions of dollars fly away. Lin Xiaohua was stunned. But Mrs. He hired you to. Mrs. He is paying me 2 million to break you up. You pay me 2 million, and I'll teach you how to marry into this family. Double dipping, that's what I call a closed business loop. I pulled out a contract. Sign this, and I guarantee you'll be Mrs. He within 3 years. After Lin Xiaohua signed, I had my assistant call He Ziqian back in. Mr. He, after a professional evaluation, I've determined that Miss Lin is an excellent match for you. Huh? He Ziqian was dumbfounded. But my aunt said. Your aunt doesn't understand love. I declared with absolute certainty. Miss Lin is a graduate of a top university, she has millions of followers, and an 8-figure annual income. She's more than good enough for you. He Ziqian nearly jumped out of his skin. 8 figures? Flower, you make more money than I do. Lin Xiaohua lifted her chin proudly, realizing she was, in fact, quite the catch. He Ziqian dropped to one knee. Flower. Marry me. I pinched her thigh, and she nodded with tears in her eyes. Once the happy couple left hand in hand, I smugly sent a message to Mrs. He. Mission accomplished. They've decided to get engaged next week. Mrs. He replied instantly. I was counting my money in the office when the door was suddenly kicked open. He Linchuan strode in, his face dark. Meng Wanqing. Is this how you do your job as an emotional risk control officer? I calmly put down my phone. CEO He, I completed the mission perfectly. Her ladyship told me to break them up. They're getting married now. If that's not breaking them up from just dating, what is? You. He Linchuan was speechless with rage. He cornered me. What do you really want? To make money, of course, I said, completely justified. Your mom paid me to split them up, and the girl paid me to get them together. Double dipping isn't illegal, is it? He Linchuan stared at me for a long moment, then suddenly smiled. Meng Wanqing, you really are. Before he could finish, his lips came down on mine. I snatched the Pichot paperweight off my desk and held it in front of my face. He Linchuan's lips landed squarely on the Pichot's ass. Bang, the door flew open. Mrs. He was standing in the doorway with 3 bodyguards, her expression more shocking than the pink wallpaper. You too. Mrs. He pointed at us, her hand trembling. He Linchuan calmly released me. Mom, it's just as it looks. I'm in love. What? Mrs. He and I yelled at the same time. Mrs. He immediately announced she was taking back all the money she'd paid me. I slowly pulled out my phone. Auntie, I happen to have a video here. It's a practical tutorial on how to elegantly marry into a wealthy family, starring your new niece-in-law. Imagine if that got leaked online. You. Mrs. He looked like she was about to faint. In the end, we reached an agreement. I would continue as the emotional risk control officer, but I had to have dinner with He Linchuan once a week. After everyone had left, He Linchuan lingered in my office, refusing to leave. Professor Meng, I'd like to sign up for your sugar baby boot camp, too. Get out. I chucked a throw pillow at him. Director Meng, Mrs. He wants to see you in her office. Immediately, my assistant reported, jogging into the room. I was in the middle of a class for a group of heiresses. 5 gorgeous, wealthy young women sat before me, each holding a copy of my notes, titled Kiss Him Goodbye, Your Next Will Be Better. Class, watch the case study videos on your own, I said, closing my lesson plan. And remember the key takeaways: cry beautifully, fight ruthlessly, and make sure the money is in the bank. The air in Mrs. He's office was practically Arctic. The moment I pushed the door open, a file folder slammed onto the floor in front of me. Meng Wanqing. Look at the mess you've made. Mrs. He jabbed a finger at a video playing on her tablet. It was the one I had just recorded yesterday, 10 signs you're dating a mama's boy. It already had over 10 million views, and the comments were filled with people tagging her son, He Lin-chuan. I sat down with a cheerful smile. Well, look at that. You watch my videos too, Mrs. He? Care to like, share, and subscribe? I hired you to break up other people's relationships. Not to sabotage my own family. The jade bracelet on Mrs. He's wrist trembled with her rage. And who gave you permission to leak internal corporate information? That doesn't count as a leak, I said, pulling up a contract on my phone. If you'll look at this clause, the second party reserves the right to anonymize and use service cases for educational purposes. I did blur out He Lin-chuan's face. Although, that Gucci shirt of his is just so recognizable, don't you think? Mrs. He looked like she was about to crush the tablet in her hand. You're fired, effective immediately. Security. Not so fast, ma'am. You might want to listen to this first. An audio recording started playing from my phone. It was Mrs. He's voice, detailing how she instructed me to break up her nephew and his girlfriend, including dangerous suggestions like faking a car accident. Now, imagine if this recording ended up on tomorrow's trending topics, I said, batting my eyelashes. How does a headline like "Wealthy Matriarch Hires Hitman to Kill Nephew's Girlfriend" sound? Mrs. He's face was grim. How much do you want? I don't want money. I stood up. I want you, personally, to be at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for my new venture, the Wanqing Women's Business Academy. And while you're there, you can tell the reporters all about my excellent teaching methods. As I walked out of her office, my phone buzzed. A text from He Lin-chuan, my office. Now. Huh. Men. I deliberately made him wait for half an hour. When I pushed open his door, He Lin-chuan was standing by the floor-to-ceiling window. He turned at the sound. Wanqing, how long are you going to keep this up? What are you talking about, Mr. He? I walked straight to his desk, plopped down in his executive chair, and gave it a spin. I'm just working hard. Working? He scoffed. Teaching women how to demand bigger breakup settlements? How to spot the tricks of wealthy families? Do you have any idea how many strategic family marriages you've ruined? I counted on my fingers. The Wangs, the Zhaos, the Lis. I'd say about 7 or 8. He Lin-chuan leaned over, bracing his hands on the armrests and trapping me in the chair. Do you hate me? He asked, staring into my eyes. Hate you? I laughed out loud. Mr. He, you give yourself too much credit. I'm the kind of person who chips in for a gift when my ex's new girlfriend's best friend gets her cat neutered. I don't have time to hate you. Then why are you? Why am I going after your little high society world? I pushed him away and stood up. Because it's fun. More fun than cashing a breakup check. He Lin-chuan was silent for a moment, then said abruptly, I'm getting engaged. I put on my best professional smile. Congratulations. Don't forget to invite me to the wedding. He grabbed my wrist. Meng Wanqing. Don't you feel anything? Nope, I cut him off cleanly, pulling my phone from my purse. And speaking of engagements, would you like to hear this, Mr. He? I hit play. He Lin-chuan's voice filled the room. Wanqing, I was wrong. I really love you. This fiancé, she's just someone my mom arranged. The color drained from his face. When did you record that? That time you drunk dialed me, I said, turning off the phone with a sweet smile. Don't worry. I'm only saving this for a special occasion. Like, say, your engagement party. You. The veins on He Lin-chuan's forehead pulsed with anger, but he was powerless. I slung my bag over my shoulder and walked out. At the door, I turned and blew him a kiss. By the way, I quit. If you want to argue with me in the future, you'll have to make an appointment. My consultation fee is 100,000 an hour. But for old time's sake, I'll give you 20% off. 1 month later. At the opening ceremony for the Wanqing Women's Business Academy, I stood before dozens of media outlets in a custom-tailored suit and announced, our motto is to give every woman the confidence to say, I'm thriving all on my own. The crowd erupted in applause. I glanced toward a corner and saw a familiar figure. He Lin-chuan was standing in the back row, wearing a face mask. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, my assistant found me. Director Meng, Mr. He left a gift for you. It was a small, exquisite box. I opened it. Inside lay the check stub that He Linchuan had once torn to pieces, now meticulously repaired with gold leaf. On the back, he had written, "You win." I smiled and tossed the box into the display case for our students' success stories. It landed next to a silk banner from a former client, which read, "The Mama's Boy Whisperer." That night, at the celebration party, I was a little tipsy. I stood on the hotel terrace, looking at the stars. My phone pinged. It was a news link from He Linchuan. He Corporationaire's engagement party abruptly cancelled, rumored disagreements over prenup. I casually texted back, "Need breakup consulting services? I can give you a VIP discount." The night wind sobered me up. I suddenly remembered that afternoon I accepted the $12 million check. If I could do it all over again, I'd probably make the same choice. After all, money will never betray you. It won't have a fiancé on the side while stringing you along, turning you into the other woman. And it definitely won't drunk dial you to say it misses you. Director Meng, my assistant said, knocking on the terrace door. A reporter from Forbes would like to interview you. I straightened my suit, lifted my chin, and walked out to meet them. "Mr. He, are you sure about this?" Assistant Wang asked, cradling a delivery box as if it were a bomb. Without looking up from the documents he was signing, He Linchuan said, "Just leave it there." Wang placed the box on the desk and snatched his hand back as if he'd been burned. An eye-catching logo was printed on the box. The Wanqing Academy for Women's Financial Literacy, specializing in curing love brain. Do you need me to open it for you?" Wang asked cautiously. "No. You can go now." Once the office door was closed, He Linchuan set down his pen and slowly, deliberately, opened the package. Inside was a set of hardcover textbooks, How to Spot a Scumbag, 36 Strategies, Breakup Settlement Negotiation Tactics, and a guide to avoiding the pitfalls of marrying rich. On top lay a gold-embossed invitation. "You are cordially invited to our course, Financial Freedom for the Independent Woman. Speaker, Meng Wanqing. P.S. No men allowed." He Linchuan let out a soft laugh, pleased with his perfect plan. In the dean's office of the Wanqing Academy for Women's Financial Literacy, I was reviewing the latest student roster. "There's a problem with this Li Xiaomei's file," I said, pointing at the screen. 22 years old, occupation listed as socialite, and her reference is Secretary Li from the He Corporation? My assistant, Lin, leaned over. "Should we cancel her registration?" "No need." A smirk touched my lips. "Let's play along. Go prepare a special set of course materials. Main topic, 100 ways to deal with a stalker." 3 days later, at the opening ceremony. I stood on the stage in a sharp suit, surveying the room full of beautiful women. One student in the back row was particularly conspicuous, slumped in her seat with a hand to her forehead in apparent agony. "Welcome, students," I said with a radiant smile. "For our first lesson today, we're going to play a little game, Spot the Straight Man." The room erupted in laughter. In the back row, Li Xiaomei visibly froze. I stepped down from the stage, my heels clicking on the floor. "The rules are simple. I'm going to ask a few questions. If you can't answer, you'll have to face a penalty." I stopped in front of Li Xiaomei, leaned down, and asked, "Tell me, do you know how to use a tampon?" The tips of Li Xiaomei's ears turned a shade of red visible to the naked eye. I don't know." The voice was barely a whisper. "All right then," I continued, "do you know how many different shades of red lipstick there are?" Sweat started to bead on Li Xiaomei's forehead. "One last question." I leaned close to his ear and whispered, "He Linchuan, isn't my dress a little tight on you?" Li Xiaomei, no. He Linchuan snapped his head up, his wig sliding sideways. "You knew all along?" The room exploded with laughter. I waved to the door. "Security, please escort this student out." That evening, I received a package. Inside was the dress, stretched out of shape, along with a note. "You look great in a suit." I smiled as I fed the note into the shredder. "He Linchuan, I'll dismantle your elaborate schemes, one layer at a time. The best kind of ex is one who acts like they're dead."